I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Corky Shank.
And I am Matt, aka Stormageddon. It's either I step all over your intro or I leave too long of a gap. I
tried to give you a visual cue this time.
We're professionals,
put my
I
arms
swear.
In a ball passing sort of motion.
We're just lucky to be here. We're just happy to be here.
Too blessed to be stressed.
I'm also really happy to have the one, the only Angela Bones Bullock with us. Angela, thank you for joining us.
No problem. I am happy to be here and not at work. If I had not just wolfed down dinner, I would have a glass of wine, but I did not have time to grab such.
It's all good. You can have a nice hearty glass of wine as a reward for recording an excellent podcast, which I know we will.
Yeah, or we could just pause here for a second and I could edit this out and you could go get yourself some wine because this is podcasting.
Yeah.
Most podcasters are drunk.
My dad for one of his Christmas gifts to me did get me like this really nice like wine serving set. Where, like, it has like an electric corkscrew. As well as like a twist off like hand protector, 2 corks, and like a hand pump to like get the air out of the bottle for like longer storage of like already opened bottles, and then an aerator to like
nice, fancy,
it's very fancy.
My
parents are very much leading into helping me become a bougie bitch. So.
There you go. Hell yeah. Let's go. Well, this is not a podcast about being bougie bitches, though it could be very well with the three of us. But that said, it is a podcast still about the latest things we've watched. We're going to talk a little bit about what Angela does as far as podcasts and other awesome things. But before that, we will talk about each thing we have seen most recently. And I, as always, will go first. Just a very brief shout out to Book of Boba Fett. I have watched the first episode. I love it, but also I don't want to talk about it because I've loved Boba Fett since I was 4 years old. And frankly, I don't care about the quality of the show, though I happen to think it's fantastic because I'm going to love it anneanyway because I'm living my 4-year-old boyhood dream. So,
the only thing I have to say about that is Pat Oswalt tweeted, someone put side by side his Parks and Rec rant next to that shot where it is verbatim what that man says.
Yeah, happens in the show. Yeah.
You know he had a hell of a weekend.
Oh yeah, you know that Jon Favreau watched that Parks and Rec episode and definitely worked in as much as he could.
Oh my!
But the thing that
silliness abounds.
The thing I actually brought is actually one of my favorite directors and writers who I haven't talked about in a while, which is the incredible Edgar Wright. Put out a movie this year that I didn't get to see in theaters, but for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day rather. Typically, my spouse and I, as Jews, would go to the movies. Instead, we brought a movie to us, and it's the movie Last Night in Soho, which is a thriller / horror flick, I guess, directed and written by Edgar Wright. It is essentially about a young girl who gets accepted to a fashion school in London and then goes to London. Her mom died at a young age. We don't quite know why, like after she was born. So she lives with her grandma. But we know that this young girl, Eloise, played by Thomasin McKenzie, can see ghosts, sort of. She sees her mom in her mirror. This is all very early in the movie. And so and her grandmother seems to know. Like, it's indicated that probably her mom had a similar thing and she took her own life, and so maybe it had something to do with that. Anyway, Eloise assures her grandmother that she's going to be fine, and she goes off to school. And it starts as kind of a dark comedy, feeling very like, oh, a nerdy girl goes to a fashion school. All of the uptight girls and fashionistas are shitty to her, and she's having a geeky kind of nerdy out of place experience. And then she ends up not wanting to live in the dorms, so she gets a room for rent. And she discovers when she sleeps in this room that she's rented, she wakes up in the 60s, which she happens to love the 60s and 60s music, and sees the life of this other person, this performer, it seems like, and starts to live her life a little bit, see parts of her life, and then things start to unravel as it seems like this girl's life wasn't as dreamy as she thought it was, but she keeps seeing her life and trying to live her own life. And it's a psychological thriller. It's really interesting. What I love about it is that in the early moments of the movie, when she's living the past through this other woman's eyes, we are introduced to Matt Smith, who's playing a character who I'm blanking on the name of. What the hell was his name? Jack.
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith, obviously. He plays like
Yeah.
this kind of bar owner promoter named Jack. And he seems smarmy, but charming. And like within minutes, I'm like, after his long run as a delightful doctor, you do not hire Matt Smith to play anything but a terrible, evil human. And bet your ass.
He killed John Connor.
And he killed John Connor, obviously. So it's one of those things where the like this vision she's having start to spin out of control. The woman whose life she's seeing, his name is Sandy, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who's phenomenal in this. And so it just kind of escalates as she doesn't want to see this girl's life anymore, but can't seem to stop seeing it. She doesn't know why. And I don't want to spoil the crux of the movie, but like it has a lot of twists and turns. It's very Edgar Wright. It's like the shots are very Edgar Wright. The flow is very Edgar Wright. And what more importantly than anything else is the 60s soundtrack is flawless. Like think Scott Pilgrim, think the Cornetto trilogy. How like what I love about Edgar Wright's movies and why he's my favorite director of all time is because he's very musical influenced, and like scene to scene, you can remember his movies because all you have to do is remember the song. Like if you listen to the Scott Pilgrim soundtrack, every song and in order are the scenes of the movie, and you can very easily remember the movies. And same for the Cornetto trilogy, especially Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. And this is no different. Also, I was really excited for this movie to come out because Baby Driver left such a bad stain on society because it has two shitty humans in it, not just one, but two. Angle.
Wait, who's the other one?
Angle Asort or whatever his name is, who plays Baby Driver, is also apparently a shitheel and a terrible human. Besides Kevin Spacey.
Okay. Oh yeah, the one who like got derailed for may or may not being a cannibal.
Yeah. So
Armie
anyway.
Hammer.
Oh, that's Armie
Yes.
Hammer. He's also bad.
Different. Okay.
Different guy. But that said, this latest film by Edgar Wright might be one of my favorites, and that's hard to say because Scott Pilgrim is one of my favorite movies of all times. I've talked about it on JD's podcast. I talked about the comic run. I talked about it on Let's Rewatch. I talked about the film. I've talked about the game in other places too. But this movie is really interesting for me because I'm not really a horror person.
Yeah, I was gonna inquire about the spooky factor of this movie and if it was
So it's
not
more
Storm approved.
So it's more of a thriller than a horror movie. I'd say if you liked Get Out and you liked Us, you would like this. It's a similar kind of thriller with some jump scare moments and horror moments.
I've come to realize that like personally I am much more into thrillers than like flat out horror.
Same.
Like unless it's a horror comedy.
Yes.
Like Ash versus Evil Dead.
Sure.
Great series.
Love it.
He has his head up zombie rectum at one point in that show.
Yeah. This is an actual thing. It's one of the grossest shows I've ever watched. Like it's just gory. I mean, if you've seen Evil Dead, you know what to expect. But like, it's just gross. But yeah, no, I think that the problem is I don't like horror movies that are just like torture porn. I have no patience for that. And then I don't like constant jump scares. Like
Yeah, it's got to be.
that's what I love about Get Out is that there are a few jump scares, but they're earned. Same for Us. And like this also has that. There are a few, and they're absolutely earned, and there are creepy moments that are absolutely earned. The cast is incredible. They're all young for the most part, and like unknowns to me. I'm sure they've all worked before because no unknown is actually unknown. Most unknowns have been working for ages. But like, I was blown away by the talent in this, and it was really interesting to see this kind of slice of life London story, but also with this thriller horror vibe. And again, like I said, the music is just, if you like 60s rock and folk, like it's on point. It's an incredible soundtrack.
That's absolutely my
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah.
My favorite musician is Bob Dylan.
Oh yeah. You will
I
be
have,
right
like,
at home here.
I have like just a bunch of like Bob Dylan books on my bookshelf. One of them is like a compendium, like 3 inches thick, of all of his lyrics from 1964 to
Oh, wow.
2012.
Nice.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I have a lyric book, but it's for Blue October, and they had like 3 albums at the time, so it's not a very long book. But yeah, no, I really loved it. I had wanted to see it in theaters, but it came out in the summer of this year, and like I think we missed it, or we were worried about getting sick, or I don't remember why, or maybe it was earlier in the year. I can't remember exactly when.
I think it was like an October
Yeah.
release.
Oh, maybe
it hasn't
was.
been
It's
that
pretty
long.
recent.
I remember. I can't remember why. I just remember we missed it, and so I was very excited when it was on Amazon. Amazon is now partnering with some movies to do you can pay $14 or $20 and watch it, sort of like the Disney Plus premium thing, but for movies that have been out of theaters only a short time. So
I also kind of do like that model. Like my family last early spring, late winter, saw News of the World, that Tom Hanks movie.
yeah,
It was $20, which is like, because of how recent it was like, oh well, like, all right, fine, because like, yeah, we didn't go to the theater, and we're still able to watch it. There definitely is something to be said about the theater experience.
Sure.
I was able to see
I'm
Dune
so
in
jealous.
IMAX. Definitely #, no regrets there.
sure.
You just felt it so much in your chest. Like it was my friend's. It was the friend I went with. One of the friends I went with. It was like her first. She had never been to IMAX.
Oh,
and
that's a good first one.
Yeah. And she was talking about just like how much you felt it because of the sound system.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, like, on the last episode, I talked about how watching The Matrix, the first movie in IMAX, which I had done right before that episode, was like watching it again for the very first time. And so, like, I totally value the theater experience too, but it is nice to be able to do it at home, especially like my spouse is high risk, and we recently just had COVID, a breakthrough case. And so, like, even though we're fully vaxxed and boosted, so like all of that, it's good to have both. I think both, like, I loved watching the new Matrix at home. But after we watched it, I was like, "Oh, I would have watched that." In the
that's
theater.
how I
totally. That would have been great.
Oddly
in the
enough, that's how I felt about Dune, because I ended up doing an
it makes
at-home
sense.
viewing, and when it was done, I was like, I really want to see that in theaters, and I just never had the time, and like that's a problem with a lot of movies that are just where they're just like releases right now, and there's only a certain number of them, and you want to pick one that's likely going to be
like an experience.
Yeah, that's and also going to be less packed, because you're trying to also think like, how do I do this and interact with as few people as possible? Yeah. So it's nice to have options between either of these, like watch it in theater, watch it at home.
Yeah.
I am debating whether or not to take a gamble on like a weekend matinee for Nightmare Alley.
Yeah.
Because Del Toro is my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Del Toro also. He's incredible. Yeah. Like the second Hellboy is legit one of my favorite films because it's just a good ass movie. And he knew, the first Hellboy was good, but like by Golden Army, he knew what the hell he was doing. And it's just balls to the wall. And Ron Perlman's just having the time of his life.
you just have you have Abe Sapien and Hellboy getting like plastered on paps,
It's so good. It's so good.
talking about their heartbreaks. Like,
So good. God, I love it. Anyway, so back to Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
So like, I think if you've been waiting on this one, it's definitely worth it, especially if you're an Edgar Wright fan and want to see Edgar Wright do something he's never done before. Because like he's dabbled in horror, right? Shaun of the Dead and World's End are both horror comedies.
yeah.
But this is like, there are funny moments, but this is not a comedy. This is a horror thriller, and like it works with his style of music meets movie so well that I can't wait to see what other genres he does, because he's done a bunch now. He's done action, he's done comedy, he's done horror, he's now done thriller horror. Like, I'm curious. Like, I would love to see an Edgar Wright sci-fi film. He hasn't really, like, he's sort of done that, but he's not really done that. And so like
We were close with Ant-Man.
we
and
were
then,
so
close.
close.
All
and
right.
then
His influence is in that movie, though. You watch Ant-Man,
Yeah.
you can see what's Edgar Wright's influence. Like, that whole train sequence with the toy room is
Yeah.
absolutely an Edgar Wright original. Like, I won't believe it any other way.
it would be interesting to like see what was and wasn't like in
Yeah.
his original script, because I think that was the time where I can't remember his name, but the not Kevin Feige producer that was the cause of like, oh, there's no Black Panther, there's no Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
It was like pretty much solely because of this guy.
Yeah.
Who gave a lot of money to Trump.
Yeah.
And like is also like weirdly there's only like one fuzzy photo like he's fucking Bigfoot. Like, it's weird, but he got forced out finally, and then
Yeah.
that's when we started getting
Good stuff.
actually really, really good Marvel movies again, because
Yeah.
Kevin Feige knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely does. But anyway, so Last Night in Soho, to kind of wrap up my thoughts, I think
Last
if you're
night in Hodor.
Last
no.
night in Hodor.
Oh,
Last night in Soho. Absolutely, if you are a music nerd, it's a must-watch. And if you are an Edgar Wright fan, it's a must-watch. But I also think if you've never seen an Edgar Wright film before, this would be a fun first film to watch, because I think it still really shows what he does and what he does well, even if you're not familiar with his work.
Nice.
Also, I really hope one of your more artistically inclined listeners decides to draw Last Night in Hodor.
That
Hey.
would do
Hey.
it. We always love fan art here.
Yeah, get at us. Go
Get
ahead.
at us.
Take it as a prompt. Like, just
Take it.
that's for you.
There you go. That's what you got to do.
Enjoy. I keep having these visions that I'm like in a fantasy world and I'm really tall and I seem to only be
That can't
able
be
to
real.
say Hodor. Strange. That's
strange.
That's the shared universe I'm dreaming about. No. So Matt, I'm
Yes.
actually dreaming about your 3-word review of Last Night in Soho.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a good transition.
yeah,
It was
there you
good.
go.
Okay, you get the credit.
Yeah. So what are they?
There. My 3-word review is thriller, music, bonanza.
Thriller, music, bonanza. That's
There you go.
those are some tasty words.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like those. I like those tasty words.
Yeah, you do. I know what tasty words you're into. I don't know why I went there. Anyway.
Yeah, it's fine.
I
I'm not
don't know
worried about
either.
it.
Look, I just say things sometimes and hope for the best. Well, Rachel,
Don't we
now that
all?
I'm done talking about Last Night in Hodor,
Last Night in Hodor. It's my favorite. It's my new favorite thing. Ringing out.
and I don't
the
even
new
like Game of
year.
Thrones. That's the
Nah.
weirdest part.
Matt Smith is gonna be in that one with the dragon people.
Apparently.
Which probably also means he's going to be an asshole because he's a Targaryen.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, what is the most recent thing you, my friend, have watched?
Well, what a great transition for us to use. Bringing that ding dang high fantasy novel adaptation by a television streaming studio. 'Cause y'all, I watched season 1 of Wheel of Time.
Ooh, nice.
I was pulled out of believing in fantasy in the modern era, and then Wheel of Time seemed impossible. It's a lot of book. Many a book is written in that world, and
Didn't the showrunner say, like, 9 seasons?
Yeah, I
So
really enjoyed the Wheel of Time book. I read the first one and
Okay.
some of the second one, but then, life, 12 books is a lot to commit to.
It is,
Ooh,
yeah.
buddy.
But this was great.
The show?
Yeah, it moves at a clip
Uh-huh.
in a wild way where I was amazed that we got from here to there in like 8 episodes. Amazing, because like there's a lot to deal with and a lot to understand in the world and in the history, because this world functions in the believed idea that things are reincarnated, and like it's actually true. Like people cycle through what is the wheel. Reincarnation's a thing, and this begins with the supposed reincarnation of the Dragon Reborn, who is a powerful magic user who can either break the world or save the world. So like these are the stakes. And our possible Dragons Reborn all live in one tiny little town, a Shire-like place called Two Rivers. And so it is, these are your guys. These are your guys and gals. We're all going. We're on an adventure, and it's great. I really loved it. And I know that some choices were made in adaptation to modernize the text. Obviously, like it or not, Game of Thrones left an indelible mark on fantasy television going forward. Like The Witcher says, fuck, like the day is long. We're all just kind of living in...
Yeah, but he can say anything to me. Sorry.
True, but also to be fair with that, it is written by that's also written by a Polish man who was born in post-war Poland. Who did write fuck a lot in the original.
It's from the text.
Oh
yeah. It's like he had no time for subtlety.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I think if a Witcher had happened in a non-Game of Thrones world, they probably would have.
Yeah.
They would have cut at least some of, if not all of the. Fucks.
They would have tried to clean it up. They
and
would have tried to
people
make it
would
like
have
more
been mad.
PG.
But this doesn't like go as far as like The Witcher does, but it does age up our protagonists like to a maturity level that makes a little bit more sense based on where they are. So one character is married in this iteration, and I think that was a really wise choice, because when I read the books, I did perceive that these young adults were very childlike, very naive of the world and how it works, and I really appreciate like kind of scratching that from a fantasy scoreboard of like, no, these are young adults. Like, what were you doing when you were 20? This is universal. Like, we're all kind of horny at 20. Like, it's fine.
I was watching Futurama.
Wait, is it supposed to stop at 20? Because I'm still really horny. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So I've never read the books. I actually have talked a lot about Wheel of Time because on my other show, CPOV Autographs, one of my guests towards the end of the year was mutual friend of mine, Rachel Sulfur, a.k.a. Sean Church, who is a prolific rapper and nerdcore rapper, and he recently released an album called The Wheel of Rhyme, which is a tribute to The Wheel of Time, which is it's really good. Like, I have no context for the lyrics, but like the music is really good. I'm just curious, like, because I've been hearing a lot about it now. Do you think this is something that I could just dive into with no context?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Because
I nodded my head.
I always
and then realized we're podcasting
emphatically.
I will also second this, mainly because I guess like me and my brother. So like around December 2019 is I had some treatments that made me very ill for a long time. Including a long hospital stay. So two of the things that we watched while I was in the hospital, because that's when they first released, was, and like my mother never would have watched this otherwise, but my brother and my mom would visit, and we would watch Mandalorian and The Witcher. We watched both of those shows while I was in the hospital. So I went, and so I guess like we got her hooked on the fantasy shows, because I mean, she also had watched Game of Thrones, but like I think that was like
a lot of moms
like,
watched Game
Yeah.
of Thrones, though. My mom
Yeah.
watched
That's
Game
a
of
wine
Thrones.
mom show, let's face it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is.
But so like the other day, I went into the way our my house is set up. My parents kind of have a separate living space, so like I went into their living room, and I was like, "What are you watching?" And I looked at it for a second, and I was like, I my mom hates this about me. Like, even though I had never seen Wheel of Time, like I was able to guess.
You were
this is
able to
probably
put
Wheel
it
of Time.
together.
Yeah. And she was like, "Yeah, it is." My favorite example of that was I did the same thing when she had friends over, and they were watching John Carpenter's The Thing, and like I come home from work, and like go over to say hi, and like hi, I'm home and everything, and I'm like, oh, I walk in and immediately I'm like, oh, y'all are watching The Thing. She was just so mad that I was able to know, because like she knows tons about horses. I know a lot about movies.
There you go.
Yeah.
We all have our talents.
Yeah.
You said it moves at a clip, Rachel. Do you feel like it was rushed, or do you think it was a good pace for it?
I mean, I like to live for a long time in a good world. Like
Right.
if you set up a good place to hang out and vibe, I want to go there. Even if the vibe is the world will end and one of you kids will be responsible, I guess. Sorry, I might also kill you. I'm a magical sorceress woman. Don't worry about it. Played by Rosamund Pike, and she's great as Moraine. Amazing as Moraine.
Amazing.
So there is like a time skip where a month goes by, and my heart went, but what happened during that month? What
happened?
I mean, I like.
What
I
happened?
think I vaguely
You
remember
know
what
what happened.
from my
Right.
reading of this book years ago. But it was just one of those like, no, I get it. Actually, it would be a lot of traveling, and you don't really need
Yeah.
it, because they really do condense like what your takeaway from that month right in the beginning. So like when it cuts, you're like, oh, I can understand how a month of this would affect you in this way.
Right.
I heard there was a lot of discourse, controversy about the addition of a character for the sole purpose of making that character unalive.
Yeah. Creating
Yeah,
a character to
and
kill off.
While I do understand, like, if someone sees it that way, for me, I think it was not an impetus to kickstart the plot. The plot is already happening. It's just an opportunity to like add depth of character to a being that is very internalized in a book. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
when you have to adapt, for lack of a better example, like Twilight, you can't have it all in
Right.
Bella's first person perspective. So you kind of have to like
Right.
expedite things and build things out different ways. It's just adaptation. I don't perceive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of an example. I think, in my opinion, or in my head, I should say, a prime example of that is the very first Hunger Games book, because so much of that is like what's going on in her head while what she is performing for the camera, and like that is so much of the drama of that first book, which like you just can't.
You have to do it differently in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, like you. So yeah, it's also interesting you talk about it wouldn't exist without Game of Thrones, but talking about condensing. What now? Game of Thrones did do that towards the end when they ran out of material.
They did the
Well, the
the
problem
real like
is that-
Full Metal
Yeah, yeah.
Alchemist treatment where they're just like, we don't know.
Yeah,
We're
they
just
did.
gonna forge ahead. But
We're just gonna
imagine
go.
if the
Yeah.
oh boy.
But
Oh.
Full Metal Alchemist fans got their wish though, and they
Yeah.
did
Yeah,
remake
Brotherhood
it called
rules.
Brotherhood.
And it is brutal. I
Ooh,
haven't even
so
gotten
good.
through all of it yet because the manga I loved, and when I got to Scar's story in the manga, I went, oh, the anime screwed this up big time. This character is way more important and way better in the manga. And then, yeah, I haven't finished Brotherhood. I love those characters so much, and nothing good happens to them most of the time.
Yeah.
And I can't go through Hughes's arc again. I just can't do it.
Ooh, but
The
it's
whole arc with
so
Hughes is-
beautiful.
I know, but it's
yeah.
brutal though.
Oh man.
My friend was telling me a story. I can't remember who, and then I'll throw it back to you, Rachel. There was someone who cosplayed as Hughes at a convention, but he would walk around with the phone booth and do that whole final scene in the middle of the con floor, and then lay spoilers, Fullmetal Alchemist, this character dies, and then would just lay on the floor for a while, and then get back up and do it somewhere else. I don't remember who told me this story, but I was like, that's brilliant, and also I hate them.
Yeah, that is commit. That is the
That
type
is
of
commitment.
nerd level commitment that is just chef's
You
kiss.
can't-
Yeah, you
No,
can't
it's
not
great.
love it. Well, I mean, it sounds like, Rachel, though, that
Yeah.
you really enjoyed this. Or does this make you want to go
Yes,
back and
very
read more of
much
the
so.
books now?
I have them all
Yeah,
set aside
yeah.
on audiobook, and I'm just waiting for the time to just go.
Just waiting.
You know.
See,
Nice.
all right. So I've only read part of the Witcher series, so I gotta finish that. Gotta finish the Dune series, and get to zombie Jason Momoa apparently at one point. And I have the extended Lord of the Rings stuff I've never cracked into. And then I guess now 12 books of Wheel of
Yeah.
Time. So-
Yeah,
Just add
what
it
are
to
you
the
gonna
list.
do?
What's
Yeah.
what's 12 more books? Is there any other final thoughts about Wheel of Time
Yeah, I
stuff
think
you want to
it's
share?
a very good, solid first season into a world that
Mm-hmm.
will expand and grow. And you should check it out. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna give the Bezos machine money, you might as well watch something real nice
Yeah, there you go.
that has like gay characters in it, and
Hell
you
yeah.
know, it might be a little weird to have like this world where like magic is only for like women, and like the man side of this magic, called like the one power, has been tainted by the dragon reborn. You might be like, oh, that's a little binary thinking, but like, don't worry about it, it's cool. Like
if I had to choose, I'd rather the women have it. Let's be honest.
yeah,
I'm a
and
man
it's
I don't
definitely more,
trust
it's
us.
less predicated on
So.
like, because this binary is bad, it's like one dude fucked it up for all the dudes, you know.
Yeah.
like how
Sounds about
like
right.
how
That
society
sounds
can do
accurate.
that through, you know,
Yeah.
like
Constantly.
almost like a toxic
In general.
version of yeah, I
Masculinity?
guess that sounds like a new
I
concept.
guess.
You
Is
know,
that a thing?
The literal embodiment of hashtag not all men. It's literally one dude.
Yeah.
Literally one
yeah,
that just ruined
you
it.
donked it up
For
real
everybody.
bad there, dragon.
You-
Uh,
well, if you had to
gosh.
sum up the Wheel of Time in just 3 words without using the words wheel of or time, what 3 words would you use to describe this series?
yeah, I
can do
have.
this,
The
I
thing is, I'm
believe in
trying
you.
to like build art here because I have this one idea, and I'm like, ooh, gotta
Oh.
make this idea.
I got it.
Pattern, well woven.
Pattern
Yes.
well woven. I
And-
like
and
that.
the folks who
good.
are familiar with the series or the books, they'll get it. They're loving it. The folks at home, they're
All
loving
right.
it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love a little treat for
Talk
the
a
folks
lot
at
about the
home.
pattern.
A little treat. All right, Angela. What is the most recent thing you, our glorious guest, have brought? What is the most recent thing you have seen?
I meant to finally finish Hawkeye, but I somehow didn't get to it in the past 2 days. The only reason I even remember this recording was because of my phone being like, "Hey, there's this thing." I was like, "Oh shit!"
It's that week between. Like, time doesn't matter here.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
tough. This is a rough week to have things to do.
Well, it's not even. Well, I mean, for me, it's not even that because, like, but as much as because I work at a pharmacy, at a local pharmacy, and so like everyone remembered over Christmas break. Oh wait,
I need my meds.
yes.
I wonder what could have caused people to collectively go, wow, I need some meds. Something bad happened this
Right.
weekend.
What could have possibly happened?
But so it ended up being over Christmas break because we're continuing the tradition. In fact, my mom was very annoyed when my oldest brother, who does not watch The Witcher, was visiting, and we couldn't watch
Ugh.
season 2. Like we had to put off like our nightly watching of like 1 or 2 episodes, and she was very mad. Not to get her stories. But yeah, it was Witcher season 2.
Awesome. I have not
Which
seen it
I'm
yet, but I'm
some-
curious.
I'm
As a fan of the
I'm
the
some
books.
of the way through.
Oh, what?
I just
Were you gonna ask?
Yeah, I just finished.
You're some of the way through. Okay.
The one where we hear "Burn, Butcher, Burn." I can't remember the title of it. It's something like something
yeah,
red
yeah.
intelligence. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's,
I'm curious, Angela, because I'm a fan of the games. I played 2 and 3 because 1 is terrible.
I got like a quarter. Like I probably got like a quarter through 1 because it was like $2 on Steam.
I know, that's why I bought it, but it's bad. It's just so bad. But so
20 years old.
So I come from it from the games, which I think they're doing. It's still pretty faithful. But you'd mentioned that you're a fan of the books. How do you feel like it's holding up compared to the books? And what do you really love without spoiling too much about season 2, especially?
What? So like it is a great example of lovingly adapting something while like making changes you need because of the medium, but still staying faithful. Like it's still very faithful. My favorite, and of course, I mean, this is just the entire premise of the series. Once Ciri and Geralt meet, which you saw at the end of season 1, which is just Daddy
Yeah.
Geralt. Just,
I mean, he was already a
but now
daddy,
he's-
but now he's a
yeah,
daddy.
And it's
Yeah,
very
he's-
it's very sweet.
yeah. It is very sweet. Just like a minor example. He's at one point. Geralt is at one point talking to this prostitute, and she's like, "Oh, well, you're not her father, so like, blah blah blah." Like, it starts trying to buy Ciri, and then like Geralt like starts to like step forward and like he's about to punch her, and then she just goes, "Oh, so you're not, quote unquote, not a father," and just like walks away, just like calling him
Amazing.
out. But it's like, yeah, it's great.
It's such a good show.
It is like, and it continues to be, especially like, Henry Cavill is still having the time of his life. He is admitted to playing like 100+ hours of Witcher 3.
Yep.
Has read all the books, like
Yep.
just absolutely is a gigantic nerd for The Witcher.
Yeah. And what I love about Henry Cavill as every year passes is that this guy who played Superman, and I thought did an okay job in some not great movies, is actually the biggest nerd. Like, we had the hot PC building of last year, which I think ruined a lot of nerds. And then like he recently was on Graham Norton talking about painting Warhammer figures.
He missed. Speaking of Superman, on Graham Norton, did you see the clip also where he was saying that he missed Scott Snyder's call telling him that he got Superman because he was doing a World of Warcraft raid?
Amazing. Oh, I love it. Perfect.
He was in the middle of a raid, didn't hear his phone, and it's Scott Snyder saying, "Hey,
This
your life is
goes in the
changing."
bucket of the continued evidence I'm gathering that film and TV actors are just theater kids. Like, get over
Yes.
it. Watch a
Yep.
blooper
Yes.
reel and tell me they're not theater
Yeah.
kids.
It's true.
But yeah, so like there's a couple of plot points that it's been a little bit since I've read the Blood of Elves book, which is what this season does. There's a couple of changes where it's just like it makes sense, just in terms of like what would make better television.
Right.
And I still think it is juggling the entirety of the world well. What I really like about this season is that the first season is all character and world building.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all right, it's like establishing everything. Like this is who the Witchers are. This is kind of the general layout of the world. These different factions in the world. And then this season, slowly but surely, all of these different factions find out about Ciri and what she can do, and that she is still alive. And they're like, all right. So it's this it's the like the intrigue, the balance of everything of like juggling all those balls while still concentrating on Geralt and Ciri, because like the main story is Geralt and Ciri versus the world.
Right.
But to make that interesting, you have to like understand all the parts of the world.
I would say Wheel of Time is kind of doing that Witcher season 1 situation, but instead of timelines, there's time skip. And that's all I'll say about season 1.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you feel like, Angela, that season 2 is better than season 1? Like it's just better than what came before because it's amping up?
It flows better, but the main reason it flows better is because it is getting into the main story of the show, of the books.
Right.
While the first one was
It was all set up.
Yeah, well, not only just set up, it was adaptations of the short stories.
Right.
And trying to create a thread of meat through to get to then the series stuff.
Right.
Which is why, like, in season 1, they intercut and had the different timelines.
Right.
Of, like, all the stuff you see with Geralt is in the past. And, like, sometimes way in the past.
Way, yeah.
And while at the same time, then intercutting with Ciri. Like, the same episode, like, you're seeing Ciri about to get bored and then see Ciri, like, fucking around with elves in the woods. Like, and so, and that was because of necessity, because otherwise you would just have these weird vignettes, which, like, I mean, tons of people do tons of shows have done Monster of the Week, but
Sure.
This can now be kind of, what I think is the best of both worlds is, have Monster of the Week, but then also, like, have bits and pieces to move the main plot forward, which is, like, what Breaking Bad, did so beautifully. In terms of, like, it had the overall plot of the entire series, but, like, each episode would be its own beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I love that in season 1 how, like, having, because I didn't play I played part of Wild Hunt before seeing the show, and then I watched the show, and then I bought all 3. Like, I had 3, and then I bought 1 and 2, and, like, I got to see some of the short stories that were in the first season also in the games dispersed. And, like, what I love about that narrative in the first season is that you're right, you get the Monster of the Week, but then you also get to find out why Geralt's doing what he's doing. And I think that kind of storytelling is always interesting, whereas if you just do Monster of the Week, like, this was Flash's problem after the first couple of seasons on the CW, is, like, that it just becomes the same thing. And I think Monster of the Week can only hold so long if you're in for the long haul.
Like 12 seasons of Supernatural. How many seasons?
Yeah.
That's
more than that, I think.
I think it's 15.
all
Yeah,
Monster
something
of the
like
Week.
that. You're right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Although I think many people will say, like, there's a just about 3 or 4 giant.
Oh yeah, if
turds
you
of
watch
seasons
Supernatural,
in the
like
middle.
stop after like season 5 when they fight Lucifer, like you're good. That's a very full whole story. You can stop there. It's fine. It's cool. Yeah.
You can stop there. Okay, good to know.
And I also think the JD's gonna fight me on this again, but when I talk to them next, but so like one of Stephen King's weaknesses is he gets an idea, like Cujo was inspired by he had a bike he needed fixed, and his buddy was like, oh yeah, go to this guy, and so he drives the bike to this guy, and then the bike just dies like as soon as he gets to this guy's farm, and he's in the middle of nowhere, even for Maine. Like, he's in the middle of nowhere at this guy's farm with a busted bike, and then this giant Saint Bernard comes out and starts to growl, and the guy that is gonna fix his bike smacks the Saint Bernard with his giant wrench that he had in his hand, just whoops it on this Saint Bernard's behind to make it sit down and like to get its attention and to get it to like calm down. And then the guy doesn't apologize or anything. He just looks at Stephen King and goes, "Buster doesn't like your face."
Amazing.
And so he just thought of that, and so like that inspired Cujo. He's like, well, what if that guy wasn't there to stop the Saint Bernard, and what if I was trapped in a car instead of because like if he's in a motorcycle, then he just dies.
Yeah.
But and so like that's, and like there's a lot of great premises that he does, and like he is a great writer. I do love Stephen King. Never has an ending in mind.
No.
Don't worry, the
and I
space
think
turtles will handle
That
it.
was
School.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why
just
not?
Yeah. That the with the eldritch echo that yeah. But like The Witcher, I don't even know how long it took him to write the books, because I know like at first he was just kind of doing the short stories as like a fun side thing, and they were getting published. They got popular enough, and then he wrote the books. I'm not sure if I'm not 100% sure if he's written anything else, or if he's just now just living off the royalties solely off of the
Yeah.
Witcher books.
He probably is.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he probably definitely can,
Yeah.
especially now with, wildly successful games, wildly successful show.
Yeah.
What I do really like is that he apparently does really like the show. Like he
Oh, good.
he made a statement of like, I can't wait to see what they do for season 3. Like, I really like their adaptation.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm excited for the new season, even though I haven't watched it yet. And like, I just wonder if it's gonna make me play the games again, because like literally I finished the season and I was like, I gotta play the games, and I have no time to play them now.
Yeah. Well, since you did play the video games, I will just say one thing: the big twist, like the final couple of minutes of the last episode, like I already knew because I played.
Because you played the
Wild
game.
Hunt. Yeah, because I
Okay,
played
cool.
Wild Hunt.
Cool. Yeah, I assume that it's gonna go there because that story I know is from the books on some level, and so yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, also I'm just very attracted to everyone on that show, more or less. So that's it's buy panic constantly, buy pan panic. Everything.
Yeah.
It covers all the grounds really.
Yeah.
Well, Angela, if you had to sum up Witcher Season 2, specifically, in just 3 words, without the words the or Witcher, what 3 words would you use to sum up Season 2?
Screw the implications of this. Rad
Yeah. Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, rad monster fucker. Love that. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're a podcast full of
Tale
monster
as
fuckers.
old as
so
time.
you're in good company. As all
There
this
you go.
time. Excellent.
Which that is a that short story did get moved from
And it
season
ruled.
1 to this season because
So
he does cover
good.
that.
I love
yeah,
that.
he does cover
I love
that.
that
It is pretty
episode.
good.
Amazing. Well, awesome. Well, Angela, thank you for bringing that show. I want to talk a little bit about you and J.D. Martin's latest podcast. It's called Fables and Reflections. It's about Neil Gaiman and his works. You've already covered some of my favorite books and stories. Where did this come from? I know you and J.D. have been friends for a little bit. And, like, where did the inspiration for a Neil Gaiman-focused podcast come from?
Like most podcasts, it was a joke. And then neither of us blinked.
No.
And then it just
You were both playing chicken and nobody blinked, and now you have a
No,
podcast.
Because I met JD, a buddy of mine from college, through the interwebs. Eventually, was just like, hey, I think you would really like this Discord, and send me the invite to JD's Discord. And then just was like hanging out there, and then JD was eventually was like, hey, do you want to come on Comics Quest? I'm like, sure. Ignoring all of the where you don't feel like you know something.
Screen snark.
Oh,
Imposter syndrome.
There you go.
Same.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Imposter syndrome.
Same thing.
Oh, good.
Way too long of a roundup for that
It's fine.
fucking term.
Yeah.
And anticipation build.
Yeah. Just pretend I'm Dr. Frankenfurter. Anticipation.
There you go.
Anyway. Ignoring all imposter syndrome, and went on there and started doing that once a month, pretty much, for a while. And then we were messing each other one day, and joked, oh haha, Neil Gaiman podcast, and then JD PM'd me. It's like, so, you free this weekend to plan it? I'm like, sure.
Sure.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the main reasons I really wanted to I liked the idea of it is because Neil Gaiman very purposefully bounces around from type of project to type of project. He'll do a novel, get lonely. He's like, all right, I had fun writing this novel, but I want to work with people. And so then we'll do then write a movie, and he bounces around from medium to medium to fulfill his own artistic desires. He's not satisfied in just one thing, because he's done children's books, young adult novels, comic books,
TV. Yeah.
TV.
TV, done screenplays. He wrote the, I don't think a lot of people know this, which is, we're going to eventually cover it, because he wrote the English dialogue for the dub of Princess Mononoke.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't realize.
He, when, they were adapting it. In fact, I read part of the chapter of, the, American liaison for Studio Ghibli wrote an autobiography, which I really need to get, because that just sounds bonkers. But he was the liaison, the English language liaison for America, and he talked about just fighting during the adaptation process, during the dubbing process of Princess Mononoke, and you had, of course, Neil Gaiman put in the work, and because he wrote Anansi Boys, which like he's a very pale Jewish Englishman
Yeah.
who wrote about an African god, but like people love it, and it is great adaptation of those stories, because like I also personally grew up with a Nazi, and anyway, that's we haven't covered that one yet, but that one's great because he puts in the work. Like he does, like
Yeah.
the people's issues with cultural appropriation is that they take things and don't try to understand the context. They're like,
Right.
that looks cool, and then that's how you get
Firefly.
Indian
Sorry.
I was gonna say
I love
Indian-
Firefly.
don't come at Matt on Twitter. But
Yeah.
no, I was thinking of like Indian headdresses.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
that is a very that is a very specific cultural thing in only certain Native American
Yeah.
Native American tribes. But then like that's just like the rubber stamp of like that people put on it, and it's like no, that's not
Not
it.
how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
dragging out the story. But anyway, so Gaiman puts in the work, and so like there was this one point where the Disney executives were like, "Why do you keep calling him Prince?" And he's like, "Well, because he is a prince." "Well, where's his castle?" And it's like, "Well, he's a prince because he," and like Gaiman, I think, literally said, "Well, he's a prince because he's a prince." Like, I don't know what you want.
Because parents were royal is Prince.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's but also cultural. That one I think also just because like Gaiman is British and so like grew up with royalty, but Disney executives very much did, and it's just like castle, flowy,
Yeah.
with the black and white trim, and but anyway, so it's his vastness of it's just like the vastness of his work. Like things are still Gaiman, but like yeah, he just like stretches himself. Like still one of the best lines in Doctor Who
Yeah.
was one of I don't know if you tweeted it, Matt, or maybe you saw it, but where it was like a line from one of his from The Doctor's Wife, which
Yeah.
Gaiman wrote.
Yes.
And it's like he's like one of the best lines of Doctor Who, which I would agree with, is the enemy is saying, "Fear me, I have killed hundreds of Time Lords." And then Matt Smith's Doctor just goes, "Fear me, I killed all of them."
Yeah. Yeah, I love Gaiman's episodes of Doctor Who. They're some of my favorite episodes. And when he made Tuesday, I went to the signing for it and got to tell him that. And very lovely man. But like, what I love about your podcast is how much love you put into his work. Like it feels very personal to both you and JD. Like my favorite episode is also one of my most favorite of his recent works, which is Ocean at the End of the Lane, which when that came out, my spouse and I took turns reading chapters and then it, like before bed to each other out loud. And then it became her just reading to me. And like, oh, that book is just.
So that's funny that you say that y'all did that, because I don't know if you know this, but you know how Gaiman's first drafts are always longhand,
Mm-hmm.
and then like at the in the evening he'll like type up what he wrote that day.
Yeah.
And as he was writing Ocean at the End of the Lane, which he wrote for his wife Amanda Palmer.
Yeah.
As he would read her the chapter he was writing that day, like as she was falling asleep and as he was typing it. So
that's
like,
amazing.
He did that exact same thing as he was writing it.
I love that. Yeah, it's one. I think it's one of his most
Yeah.
brilliant works. I mean, I love Coraline. And I love a lot of other things that he's done, but like, there's something special about Ocean at the End of the Lane because of how it twists and turns in a way that I feel like none of his other works. All of his works have twists, right? Like that's his. He likes to do that. He likes to throw curveballs, but I think nothing is like that book. And so if you haven't read it, definitely go read it and then go listen to their episode about it.
It's also a very
Yeah, 'cause it's just a
short,
novella.
breezy read.
Mhm.
You'll hear me tell the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it originally, I tell a longer version of this story in the podcast, but like originally he wrote it as a letter. He's like to Amanda. He's like, no, that's not gonna do. So he writes a short story. Writes. This is a pretty long short story. It's like, no, it's more novella. Writes. It's like, no, it's a full blown novel. And then he just emails his publisher. I appear to have accidentally written a novel. Here
Love
it
that.
is.
Here's the thing.
You see, my bike broke
but-
down in
Yeah.
the middle of
Oopsie.
nowhere. Oops,
So
here we
I
are.
So I wrote a book.
so I wrote a thing. But yeah, no, I mean, I love Fables and Reflections. I think it's a great idea for a podcast because you're right. Like he has such diverse work, and like now with some of the TV adaptations, like Good Omens coming out, where he's working on that, and he's a part of the creation of this adaptation. Like I think there's just so much fun, good things to talk about. Is there something that y'all haven't covered yet that you're looking forward to personally covering? Something you really want to talk about?
I would probably say the Good Omens novel and then the Good Omens TV show.
Yeah.
Mainly because like what's interesting about that is of course he wrote it with like one of his best friends, Terry Pratchett.
Yep.
Who I am beginning to love in his own right.
Right.
I absolutely adore his version of Death, as well as Gaiman's, but like they both.
Right.
It's also interesting, like they were like best friends, and they both wrote like very
Very kind,
oddly
benevolent
comforting
deaths.
versions of death. Yes, exactly. One loves cats, and the other one loves
One
punk
speaks
rock.
in all
Like,
caps. The other one has rad fashion.
Yeah, exactly. But so
Which is great.
the original Good Omens novel.
Ooh.
It is great. They wrote it. They wrote it like in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was where like their sleep schedules were kind of opposite at the time. So, and their main goal for each section they wrote was to make the other one laugh. And so Neil Gaiman would like roll out of bed at like 3 p.m. after like, staying up until like 5 or 6 the previous night. And, go to his answering machine, and then he would just have a message from Terry. Get up, you bastard. I've just written a good bit.
Love that. That's amazing.
So that energy very much goes into that book of just like that this back and forth between these two amazing writers, just wanting to make the other one laugh. And then of course by the time the Good Omens show comes around, Terry had passed away.
Right.
That was his deathbed promise he made Neil give him was to get the Good Omens adaptation made. And he's just like, why did you
I
play
hope
this in my
David
lap?
Tennant's free.
Because he actually, well, I think he called oh wow, I'm blanking. But
Sheen.
the
Michael
actor
Sheen.
that plays Aziraphale,
Michael
sure.
Sheen.
Michael Sheen. I think he called Michael Sheen first, and he was just like, I think Michael Sheen thought he was gonna have him play Crowley.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't play Crowley. Like he's like, I just don't think I could do it justice. He's like, oh no, I want you to play Aziraphale. He's like, oh okay, well I can do that. And then,
I like
and
very
then
much
Tennant came on
that
board
Michael
after
Sheen's
that.
like, I can't play the evil demon guy. I just played an evil vampire guy. Like, it's like they did not like it.
I think that was part of his reasoning.
I'm a baby face.
Yeah.
They
Thank
weren't a
you.
fan of that.
Yeah. but then he also like didn't quite think he could do Aziraphale.
Imposter
either,
syndrome
this,
is
like,
real,
just
and it
this
affects
soft
all
boy,
of us,
like,
including Michael
book
Sheen,
lover.
apparently.
It does.
Yeah. But yeah, and so I'm really excited for season 2 for that.
Yeah, me too.
Because like him and Terry did outline a bunch for a sequel, and they used some of the plot points I know in season 1. But what's also funny about getting a Good Omens season 2 was they're both by Amazon. And so they call up Amazon. They're like, all right, well, good news, bad news. So, we want to do a season 2 of Good Omens. We know you got ideas for it. But you got to do it at the same time as the Nazi Boys. and he's like, okay. Because at the end of Good Omens, because he had showrun it, he didn't. He wasn't the head writer, but he did showrun it.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I'm never doing that again. I hated it. I didn't write at all, really, for like 2 years. I just want to go back home and write. And then I guess Amazon just threw a bunch of money at him.
I mean, that'll change people's
you
minds.
pay me enough money, I'll
that
showrun
works
anything.
sometimes. Capitalism.
Yep.
Yeah, fuck
there
it.
you go.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a wonderful addition to the network. I think that it's a lot of fun to hear y'all talk about his work, and I'm
You
excited
come with
for
a lot
y'all
of like
to cover
passion
more
and
stuff.
knowledge.
If you ever dive into
really
the
fun to just sit here, even on our little corner of podcast, and just like absorb and learn. I love it.
Yeah.
If
y'all ever do some
Graveyard
Doctor
book
Who,
yet,
hit me up
call
because I'm
me.
definitely down to talk.
I love that book.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, absolutely. So I've got 2 books have gotten physical reactions out of me, both by Gaiman. One of them was the Graveyard
Give
book.
me an
which,
excuse to
I
reread
cried
that
at the end
book.
of. The other the other one was Neverwhere, which I don't know if y'all have read that, but it's like kind of at the climax of the book, where they're going through this maze, which has this monster in it, and they're holding this totem that keeps the monster away. So they're like trying to find their way through this maze with this totem in their hand. That's the only thing that's protecting them, and it's the floor of the maze is just gunk and mud and gore and bones from the monster's victims. And the character holding the totem steps on a rib cage, which then punctures his bare feet. So he gets hurt. He's like and freaks out for a second, and then drops the totem into the muck, and they lose it. And so like I gasped. I gasped
audibly.
But it's like I audibly gasped whatever that I was like, oh shit. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, Gaiman's writing has a way of affecting folks, and so I really urge folks to check out that podcast, check out your stuff. Also, I'm going to have Rachel run an ad for Men of Steel at the end of this episode, because by the time you're hearing this, in just 2 weeks or so, Angela and JD's episode of Miracle Man, the Neil Gaiman run, will be airing on Men of Steel, which I will be editing. I haven't edited it yet, but I'm sure it's fantastic.
Yes.
And so I'm excited for folks to hear that. They just announced a new run of Miracle Man, Marvel, which is like wild, since Case did not plan any of this.
So like I have that issue. It's a one-shot called Timeless. It's like the very last page. There's nothing else they've announced about it. Just the logo at the end of this issue. And yeah, it's just like it's I don't know. Like you'll hear about the utter legal shenanigans that property
I remember,
has been in. which is comics are weird, but sometimes legal is weirder.
It's weird, yeah.
Yeah. So I have absolutely no clue who they would get to write it. I mean, because
Yeah.
Gaiman right now is busy with Good Omens
Omens.
and Anansi Boys.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't think he's gonna be able to finish his run currently.
No.
Like, because of part of the legal issues, like he was like a third of the way through what he had planned, and
It
axe.
ended, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Who knows?
Lord knows, and also like the biggest thing is last thing I'll say about it is Marvel doesn't really have like an R-rated imprint
No.
right now. DC has Black Label, which is just Vertigo but with more Batman. Marvel really doesn't have like an adult-centered label. They used to have Max, like, but that's been defunct for ages. And then they had like a PG-13 flirting with R, I think, with Marvel Knights for a while.
Yeah,
but like that's they don't
I'd
really
imagine
have
that's tough when
anything
like Disney's your
pointed
dad.
towards adults.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sure
it's-
that influences it.
I heard this one Disney executive. It was like a meeting with Marvel people, and they were pitching it, and and one of them did say like, "Oh, well, that's not part of the Disney brand." It's like, well, that's not why you bought us. Because like Walt Disney himself, like the man, supposedly when he saw To Kill a Mockingbird, he was like, that's the type of movie I want to make, but like I can't.
Yeah.
Like I can't anymore because like my brain
The
is too
brand.
strong. And so it's just like on the one hand, like monopolies are bad, but on the other, it's just like I can understand like they finally found an answer
Yeah.
to that problem by just buying other labels. And it's like,
Yeah.
all right, like sure.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Well, Angela, thank you for joining us. Before we wrap up, I would love for you to tell folks where they can find you online, and of course where they can. We know where they can find Fables and Reflections, but where they can find it on the internet, because it's of course at certainpov.com.
Yes, it is on certainpov.com. Anywhere you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter for alternating dumb comic memes and alternating between dumb comic memes and then labor rights memes.
There you go. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's 2021. Who isn't
Yeah, well,
at this point?
particularly myself, because like since I was a baby, because like my dad was a union man his entire career, and like when he
Yeah.
retired, he was the president of his union. So like,
And
yeah.
also, technically, when people are hearing this, it'll be 2022.
Yeah.
Yes, it will.
Unions are good.
Yes.
And they're not too difficult to actually get started at your workplace.
Correct.
Just saying.
Also, I just realized I did audibly just boop my cat, who is
So-
Yay,
All good.
it's okay.
Love it.
Pets are more than welcome on this podcast.
And is
We're
Fables and
pro-pet.
Reflections on social as well?
yes, it is. So, well, on Twitter, I am at Bullock_bits.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of my cats, you could find my cats at what is it's on Instagram. I think it's at the Bullock Cats.
Okay.
It's linked on the Twitter. And then, yes, we do. Fables and Reflections also has a Twitter and Instagram at @FandRpod, and is spelled out. Where, yeah, you'll see updates. Right now, we did a holiday special. I know it'll be 2022, but we did do a Christmas special talking about Gaiman's New York Public Library reading of A Christmas Carol.
Nice.
I actually know the person who did the makeup for that.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you don't if you just listen to it, you don't quite realize he did a full Charles
Yeah.
Dickens.
Oh
scale.
yeah. The whole 9
Oh
yards.
yeah, I was literally sitting on that, and I was like, I wasn't there, but I was like friends with the person who did the makeup.
Cool.
So like for a while, my friend's profile picture was like putting the facial hair on Neil Gaiman, just like
Love
there
that.
was. Very talented makeup artist.
Awesome. Well,
But yeah, that's our latest episode. I don't know when it's gonna be released, but we're gonna do our next episode is going to be the first 4 or 5 short stories of Smoke and Mirrors.
oh, nice. Very cool.
So I have to give
Cool.
a JD to arrange that recording date. But I mean, it could be already out by the time this is. I don't know.
Well, they'll just have to go.
Time's a lake. It's
They'll just have
fine.
to go to certainpov.com to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just listen to all the episodes if that one's not out yet. And then if it is out, listen to it first and then all the other episodes after that. Just listen to the whole catalog.
It's
is what I'm saying.
It's definitely weird at this point of the podcast to be like, oh yeah, I have to like think about which episodes we've done and like what we said on them.
You'll eventually get over that when you won't remember anything you've said, and it's fine.
Yeah, and then your audience will just be like, no, we get it. You don't like horror movies. We get it. They're not your cup of tea.
We understand. We know the
Screen
bits.
Snark.
Yeah.
We get, it's back on your bullshit, okay? Yeah.
Well, Angela, thank you again for joining us. This was a
Thank you.
blast.
Thanks for having me.
We're gonna ask you our final question, but before we get to that, we have some folks to thank.
Yes. Thank you to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game, featuring Stefan Remble. What a jam.
What a jam. And thank you to the incredible Katie Bug, who designed our awesome logo. Thank you very much.
Yes, and yeah, we love it. What cutie patooties in the animated world. Great art. Great, you do good art. And thank you so much to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network. We love you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for a kick-ass 2021 among your ranks.
Yes. And if you want to reach out to us, we are _snark on Twitter. Rachel is I am Rachel Quirky. And isn't it?
And Matt's DJ Storm.
DJ
again.
_ Storm again. Close. He's
There
out
was
there.
a sneaky
There is a
underscore
sneaky
in there.
underscore in there.
I don't know. I just type in @DJ and it just pops up at this point.
And then, of course, you can also rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify now. So
Yep.
if you listen on either platform, please give us a rating and a review. It helps us to find more listeners just like y'all.
Yeah.
You can also join our Discord server by going to certainpov.com. Permanent invite link is there. Me and Angela are very active there. Rachel is trying to be, and we appreciate her trying.
I'm doing my best.
You're doing your best.
There's a hell of a lot of internet.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
I will have to say, I have to personally thank Rachel because I've stolen your time as a lake joke from.
Time is a lake. I
said
have it
all the
on the
time.
authority of an astrophysicist.
The time is
that
the
this
lake.
is correct.
The
It's
time
correct.
is a lake.
We talked about Bill
All
and
the
Ted,
time.
which they were a consultant on, and I asked if time was a lake. So I'm
Spitting
science.
truth. Spitting
There you
truth.
go. Yeah. there you go. Yeah,
And yeah, so please write us a rating and review if you have a chance. Also, we're screensnarkpod@gmail.com if you want to write us a letter, a missive.
Yeah, we have an email.
We do, that we never use.
We have an email.
But now, before we wrap up the show, it is time for Rachel to ask our guest the final question.
Yes, Angela, I have to know. I'm real stoked to know like where your heart's gonna go with this.
Okay.
If you could choose one trope that is prominent in movies and television to instantly and magically be true in your life, which trope would you choose?
I would probably. I'm gonna go with my first thought, which is probably like the hidden magical world.
It's a popular one.
Like,
That's a good one.
Like underneath. I mean, while the world is magical in its own right. Like just walking outside, then all of a sudden, a guy flying, or like a fox turned into a lady, and it's just like, oh, okay, That's happening now.
Cool. I'm down.
Love that.
Did
Yeah,
I get
perfect.
Cool powers?
Yeah. Like,
I hope that I've read enough media to where if that would happen, it would be kind of like Zombieland, where it's just kind of like, all right, like zombie media like existed before this, so like we know what's going
what to do.
on.
Yeah.
Like we
Like, you'll be prepared because the media existed before the reality.
exactly.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's the Scream effect.
It's
Yeah,
the Scream
there you go.
effect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Get
exactly.
it. We've been here. This is pop culture.
Do you like podcasts? Anyway. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know anymore.
Me neither. This is a fine show.
I wonder what that line of questioning would be if it's like, instead of if the guy from Scream was and say, do you like horror movies, was saying like, do you like I
like
wonder what
podcasts.
what the
It'd
line of
be
questioning
interesting.
would
It
be.
would
Would
be
Serial
interesting.
be in there? I feel like
Probably.
Serial would be
Yeah,
in there.
Serial
probably,
would be
yeah.
in there. This
Yeah.
American Life.
Yeah.
Night Vale.
Yeah.
The famous podcast.
The big
Any-
ones.
Anyway, of course, I want to thank again our incredible guest, Angela
Yeah,
Bones Bullock. Go check
thanks,
out
Angela.
her incredible podcast. And she also guests on Panelology a bunch. She's been talking to Alex lately. And so definitely go check that out. I also want to thank my beautiful, blue-haired, brilliant co-host, the incredible Rachel Quirky Shank.
Oh, and I want to thank my pattern woven well co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And of course, we want to thank you, our loyal listeners. Thank you for being here. We adore you. And we will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Hey,
Oh, hey, Jeff.
what's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
CertainPOV.com.